Travis is a sports encyclopedia with a mind like a scientist and an arm like a cannon. Rick is a former Mine Golden Voice Broadcasting psycho. And Joe is a freewheeling wild card with zero sports knowledge to speak of. Together, they make the crew of Offsides. Now on Cute 94.7. Brought to you by The Oil Pit, D&J's Polaris, Womack Construction, and Texoma Foam Insulation Services.
All right, time to fire it up. Offsides for a Saturday. It is game day.
Game day.
Game day here in the Lake Country. We had some big games last night, and we got a big one today. I tell you what, this is going to be a lot of fun as the Steers get ready to invade Abilene, Texas, and get ready for the Matadors from Lubbock Estacado.
It's going to be a good time. Good week of football all around. I mean, between Thanksgiving, yesterday, today, the whole thing is encompassed by a lot of good football. So we're gonna talk about everything in that regard.
All right, we've got the Lubbock Estacado Matadors coming in against the Graham Steers today. Lubbock Estacado coming into this game at 6 wins, 6 losses. The Steers coming this game at 12 wins and no losses. Lubbock Estacado, looking at their team statistics, what I draw out of this, boys, is that they're really, really good on offense. They got a running back that has all-purpose yards.
Yeah, he's a killer.
Yeah, he's a killer. He's all-purpose yards, matches up toe-to-toe with Dylan Gonzalez.
Yeah, from what I've heard, is he reminds people a lot of the kid from Vernon that was hurt when we played him. Heyman. But maybe even better, maybe even a stronger runner. So, he's one of those pound down your throat guys, and then if he does break through that first line of defense, he is a hard guy to bring down, and he can scoot too. So he's got a lot of tools, a lot of abilities.
Well, what I see here, he has rushed this year for 2,255 yards. He has 31 touchdowns. He has got to be public enemy number one on the Lubbock Estacado team. Now, on the other hand, you got Dylan Gonzalez. Dylan Gonzalez has rushed for 2,181 yards and matches him with 31 touchdowns.
Pretty crazy. I mean, these are two great runners. You're right, Rick. I give the nod to Dylan because with Dylan, you don't know where he's going to get the ball because he's so good as a receiver too. If you know the ball is coming right down the middle, you can eventually stop that. You should be able to, unless you're just physically overpowered. Haven't seen the Steers be completely physically overpowered yet this season, right?
Right.
But if you got a guy like Dylan who can run inside, run outside, and also be an excellent pass catcher, then I think you're a little more dangerous as far as the defense knowing how to cover you.
Now, this is where things get different. You've got running backs and a quarterback similar. This is where things get different. The Steers are scoring 49 points a game. Lubbock Estacado is scoring 27 points a game. The defense for the Graham Steers is giving up 9 points a game. So that 11-point deal has come down the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, sure has.
Here is what Estacado has given up 29 points a game. They're giving up more than what they're scoring. But a lot of that has to do with the first of the year because a lot of guys hurt, a lot of guys out.
Sure. Yeah, and they had I had a lot of defensive guys out. From what I've heard, what I'm hearing out there is they had a lot of defensive guys out, lost some games, came into the playoffs 4-6, no one respecting them, and then just broke off 2 wins. So they're a hot team, they're a healthy team now. So that's something to consider and not just overlook them for being a 6-6 team.
Now, one thing I see here, looking at the stats, and you can take stats whatever they're worth. The Steers are putting up 508 yards per game. Lubbock is putting up 358 yards per game. So there's a pretty big difference there.
That's pretty good for a running team, though.
Yeah.
You got to remember that because
most of it is they're about 80-20 run pass.
Yeah, and because running shortens the length of the game, and so you're not getting near as much time as the Steers game where you're passing it around all the time.
The defense for the Graham Steers is giving up 60 yards per game. Now, this one here, check it out. Lubbock is only giving up 80 yards per game defensively, so they've got a pretty stiff defense.
It's weird that they're giving up so many points, yet so little yardage.
Big plays
what
is what I think.
What does that speak to?
Big plays. I think what they're doing.
Big plays, you're still getting the same amount of yardage.
Right, but I think they're giving up the big play. I think they're giving up the home run plays, stuff like that is what I have read and looked at is that they're kind of vulnerable on long passes, stuff like that. They're not, I guess put it this way, they're not the smartest defense out there. I think a good quarterback can pick them apart.
I don't think they can punt, Rick. I think they punt it about 10 yards. And then they find out that they just have to go for it on fourth down. But we'll see. You're probably right.
They have punted 45 times on the year. The Steers have punted 28. So they've punted almost twice as many times as the Steers have this year in that one. Now, this one is kind of a telltale sign. The Steers are giving up 36 yards a game passing. That is Estacado giving up 36 yards a game passing. Steers only giving up 26 yards a game passing. Can Ben Davis and company?
Can we throw on this team?
Can we throw on them? That's the thing. That is what we're going to have to. I think looking at this just statistically. I don't know. Looking at it on paper, stuff like that. Will the Steers be able to pass on this team? I think they can.
Very important.
One thing, talking to one of the coaches last week, or not last week, hearing some of the statements of one of the coaches last week, put it that way. He said that Steers had so many weapons they were really hard to defense against.
Well, I really think they're going to need to throw. I think everybody knows that this Steer offense needs to throw. And I got to talk to Coach Dacus, the offensive coordinator, and he talked about, I asked him who this defense, Estacado's defense, remind him of, and he talked about kind of a Vernon and a Hershey as far as playing man across the board. I think the key to this game is Ben Davis, like he did against Vernon. He's going to have to figure out that his clock is a little different on when he has to leave the pocket. Right. He's going to have to sit back there, give guys time to get open. I think you're right, the Steers do have the playmakers to get open down the field. They've just got to be given the time. If that offensive line can hold steady, because I don't think that Estacado is going to blitz a lot of people and bring a lot of pressure other than, just their defensive line. And if the offensive line can handle their business, give Ben time, and he stays back in the pocket and waits on stuff to open up, it could be a big day for the Steers passing.
Coach Kenny told me that as far as their line play goes, they're pretty big offensively and defensively.
I heard that as well, and that's one of the things that we really haven't seen a huge defensive line.
No.
And so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes up. Could be a big day for Dylan Gonzalez, as far as receiving goes. Because that's the one key to him is you focus on Bryce Reeves, you focus on these trips right, Hunter Baca, Derek Sides, Todd Parker, all the gang. You focus on those guys, and then all of a sudden this little water bug comes out of the backfield and catches the ball and takes it 50.
Yeah, so that's something that's going to have to be watched. Steer passing game.
Joe, you haven't even said anything today. We miss you, man.
He's texting people.
Hello, boys.
I tell you what, let's take a break. A little early on the break. Well, let's take it anyway because I want to come back. I want to talk about Newcastle Strawn and talk about that game a little bit, and then get into the playoff bracket scenarios and all that kind of stuff coming up. All right, you're listening to Offsides here on Your Lincoln Leader Q94.7.
It's factory authorized clearance month at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview at Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as well as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
It's Offsides with Joe, Travis, and Rick on Q94.7.
All right, back to Offsides here on your Lincoln Leader, Q94.7. Talking some high school, talking some college, talking some pro football on this Saturday morning. And last night, I guess you would have it would be the six-man equivalent of Gilmer-Argyle.
Incredible game. Number 3, Strawn, I believe.
That's right.
Against number 5, Newcastle, or is that vice versa? I assume Strawn going into the game because they won the head-to-head match.
Right, they won the head-to-head matchup, and this is Division II six-man, by the way.
Nonetheless, me and my brother arrive at Ram Stadium in Mineral Wells just about the time as the horn's going off. And, this is my first time to get to watch Newcastle. Now, I've been covering Newcastle through other people who are hipping me to what's going on, giving me stats, giving me helping me with pictures and stuff, and I really appreciate that. But I just haven't had an opportunity to go see a Newcastle game yet. So I was thrilled that they were playing on Friday, Graham's playing on Saturday, get to go to this game. So I get there, I'm on the sideline, I'm taking pictures, I'm doing my thing, and your typical six-man game. It starts out. It's a scoring fest, but it's two teams that it starts out a little slow, and I don't know if that's a defensive thing, but nonetheless, Newcastle misses a kick, and if you've never been to a six-man game, you don't realize how important those kicks after the touchdown are, because they're worth 2 points.
Huge.
They're worth 2 points, and so if you can get that every time, in 4 touchdowns, that's an extra touchdown tacked on to your score, right? So, that's an extra 8 points. And in six-man, you score like crazy. You're going to score 4 touchdowns every game. So you've got to get that extra 8 points, through those 4 touchdowns. To make a long story short, Newcastle, they throw a pick early. Some bad things are going on. They get down 20. They miss a kick, right? So they're down 24-14. And Strawn's knocking on the door to go in. It looks like they've got the Greyhounds have the game, right? I know it's early, but it looks like, they're going to be hard to stop all night. What's going to happen? All of a sudden, Hayden Shields come up with a huge interception to keep Strawn from scoring again. Now, it's still a 10-point game. There's only 7 seconds left in the half. You don't think anything's going to happen. They're on the other side of the field. They run a running play. Ryan Harden makes people miss, huge hole, breaks 2 tackles, and all of a sudden it's about a 65-yard touchdown run with no time left on the clock going into the half. So Newcastle makes the kick. So they're only down 2 going into the half after being down 7 seconds without the ball a go.
It's pretty amazing.
Makes sense. It was a crazy game. The second half was a shootout. Newcastle put up 41 points. Strawn scored 38 points in the second half. It was just 2 teams going back and forth, back and forth. I think the only stop was the only defensive stop was the final stop of the game where Newcastle held them and then just had to knee the ball and wait for the game to end. But if you've never been to a six-man game, this would have been the one to go to because it's a 2-point game. Both teams scored over 60.
It's amazing.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it's seriously the 2 best teams in the region. You got the 2 best teams in the region right here.
Doubt.
No doubt. And that puts Newcastle now in the Final Four, looking toward that state championship game. But, the Bobcats all year long have just been – I guess you'd say they're more of a blue-collar team than you would say.
I think so.
Say a real flashy team.
They have a good history, but they don't have the history of a Strawn.
Right.
They don't have the history of a Throckmorton. They don't have the history of a Richland Springs.
They've always been, and I'm not saying this in any bad way whatsoever, they've always been kind of the afterthought in the Lake Country behind Strawn, behind Throckmorton, all these guys. And now Newcastle's saying, look, not anymore, Jack.
The past several years.
We're here to stay.
Yeah, the past several years, and I thought losing Moreno would be a big hit to the Bobcats, and it was, but Tyler Mays, who was then a quarterback with Moreno as your 3-back, which your 3-back, if you're not familiar with the game, is the guy who takes the second pitch back because then you have the run-pass option. You can't run until you've pitched the ball first in six-man. So the guy who it's not necessarily the guy who takes the snap, but the guy who gets the pitch that is your ultimate threat. That's where you put your top guy. Right,
exactly.
And so Moreno left, graduated, and and Tyler May stepped into that role, and what an outstanding job he's done.
Oh, excellent.
And we talk about him all the time. He gets a lot of praise, and he deserves it because he's a great player. But guys like Hayden Shields, Rodden Harden, Nathan Wilson, the Buchanan boys. Just some great players that are keeping that Newcastle for the last couple of years just a really, really solid team.
Well, congratulations to the Bobcats. Strawn's in our listening area. Strawn, what a great year these guys have had. They continue to have year after year after year after year.
Story program.
And it was just a one of those games.
I got to say, in the second half, I didn't do my homework. Number one for Strawn, wherever you are, you're an incredible player. You're a heck of a little athlete. Small guy, no one could touch him. No one could touch him. Much like a Dylan Gonzalez.
Right.
It was like Dylan Gonzalez playing quarterback almost. Newcastle couldn't lay a hand on this guy, and Strawn figured that out. Newcastle figured out what they could do that Strawn couldn't stop, and both teams in the second half just went nuts. It was great.
Pretty amazing deal. So congratulations to the Bobcats on the Final Four. We'll get to that here and get those playoffs set up here in just a bit. Now, looking at some of the statewide scores last night, Trinity took out South Lake Carroll last night 42-38. That had to be a heck of a game.
Man, I knew that was going to be a big one going in, and sure enough, Trinity with the victory.
In Class 3A, Division I, and, when you hear the score, 47-36, Stephenville seriously escaped last night
incredible.
with a win.
Absolutely. That's pretty surprising. You just kind of expect you hear Stephenville and you kind of think, oh, they're going to roll. But they did not roll last night.
Especially over Big Spring, because we've been hearing, they're not, they're like the third-place team out of that district.
Every team out west, can't really play. And that's something that the Steers need to keep an eye on tonight. They don't want this one to be close against Estacado, kind of a mirror game right there. A team, more eastern, going out west to play a Big Spring team that really gave them a game.
Does it surprise you? Here we are in the regional semifinals that the scores are as big as they are.
It's pretty wild. Are you talking about the difference in the scores, or just how many points?
You got 47-36 in that game.
Sure.
All right, you got Carthage last night beating Silsbee 49-6. Watch out for the Bulldogs, man. They're going to be, But I'm just saying these scores are huge. LaGrange last night over Ingleside, 61-24 in that game. And then we had that big game between Argyle and Gilmer, 45-38. Where are the defenses at?
It's a spread offense, in my opinion. That's the thing is you can get into a shootout, or you can play. If we saw a Vernon against Estacado, I'm sure it would be a 21-14 affair. You know what I mean, or something like that. But most teams in the state are throwing the ball around a lot now, and it's changed the game.
Well, the big boys are starting to separate themselves here. Argyle last night over Gilmer, 45-38. Argyle, I'm telling you, boys, they're going to be a tough one. That's a tough game.
Tough. And they beat Gilmer in probably one of the best games that we'll see that's not the, state championship. Just all around 3A Division II, if you were to say, hey, what game would you like to go to? I'd like to go see Argyle and Gilmer.
Well, Gilmer came out on the short end of the stick on both their big games this year, losing to Kilgore and to Argyle.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I said earlier that Argyle was the team that I would like to face out of the two, and I'm still holding on to that after, my only memory of Gilmer is last season, 50-7 loss, and just being out-athleted, basically, just being out-strength and out-speed.
Another big game last night.
Outspeeded.
Fairfield last night wins 57-14 over Sour Lake, Hardin Jefferson. Fairfield, another one of the big teams in the top 10 that keeps moving on.
Absolutely.
My dark horse last night got knocked out.
Sure did.
Cold Spring, Oakhurst. Everything I read about them, everything I heard about them, everything was going on with them. They got beat by Rockdale last night in a close one, 21-14. Another team in the top 10 went down last night. Port Isabel went down to Laverna 21-14 in that matchup. So another one of the big guns out of the playoffs.
Yep, and man, this thing's narrowing down. We're actually seeing some good teams in the playoffs at this point.
It'll be some good.
It's about time. We're in the after this week, it'll be the regional finals. So it's about time good teams started playing good teams.
Now, looking at Class 2A Division II, The Cisco Lobos last night beat Abernathy 41-14. Cisco in our listening area continues moving on. Albany last night over Iran, 24-21, another one in our listening area. So congratulations to the Albany Lions last night. And then again, that Newcastle-Strawn matchup, 56-54. Newcastle wins.
64-62.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said 56-54.
They got it wrong.
What was it?
It was 64-62.
Okay,
final.
This was just on the AP scores. All right, looking at the playoff brackets. What we're looking at here, Graham will play Estacado today at 6:00. 3:00 today it'll be Shallow-Water Vernon. Winner of those games will be matching up each other next week. Shallow-Water Vernon, that ought to be an interesting game to say the least. You've got a team who likes to throw the ball around, 12-0. That has scored a lot of points against a team in Vernon who will ram it down your throat. They play smash-mouth football. You've got a couple of different, philosophies flying into this one. So this ought to be interesting.
Can you imagine Vernon win that game, Graham winning tonight, and having a District 5 3A?
I would love it. A regional final. I would love it.
After all, and rightly so, we admitted that the Steers were playing a pretty weak schedule. Vernon was one of the few teams with a winning record that the Steers played, and we were like, well, the district's soft, and it was, to our credit. But to have two teams out of District 5 3A be in the regional final would really bolster, our district.
Exactly, and it's really cool, the way it's turned out. But we'll see how the 12-0 Shallow-Water team goes up against the 10-2 Vernon team, who has lost to Graham and to Gainesville this year. Now, the bottom side of the bracket, Region 2, Argyle moves on. They'll be playing Gainesville-Gladewater winner. And I'm telling you what, Gainesville is not a team to be overlooking. Gainesville has shocked some people.
Yeah.
They beat Salina in the top 10. They play a similar game to what Vernon plays. They run that wing tee kind of stuff. They like to run the ball, like control the clock. If you can't get the ball, you can't score.
Yeah, we ought to have a pretty good, a pretty decent score for you in that one in the pregame show today.
Yeah.
So by the time the pregame goes on, that game will be an hour into it. Hour and a half, hour into it. So.
The same way with the Vernon Shallow-Water game, we'll know because that one starts at 3:00 this afternoon.
There you go.
So we'll know what's going on there. Now, in Region 3, Fairfield moves on. You also got Rockdale moving on in that one. And in Region 4, you got Sinton, who beat the Cuero Gobblers last night, 26-19, and Port Isabel getting knocked off. So really, your big guns left in the Class 3A. You still got Graham, Estacado, Shallow-Water Vernon, Gainesville, Argyle, Fairfield is about the only ones, the really big ones left that were expected to move on.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one rolls on. Now, looking at the six-man Division 1A, I guess the six-man Newcastle winning last night, 64-62. They will be taking on the winner of the Covert Milford game. That will be played today at 2:00. In the other side of the bracket, Follett will be taking on Grand Falls Royalty, and that'll be one side of the state championship bracket, and Newcastle's in, so 3 of your top Final 4 in the state are in.
That's right. This is an exciting time. There's no better time for football than right now.
Cisco is in the Elite 8 after beating Abernathy last night. And boy, howdy, they got their hands full taking on Canadian. Canadian, year in, year out, is one of those teams in 2A that is always involved deep in the playoffs. So Cisco Canadian will be there. And a team that played Henrietta here on the night that we couldn't make it to Mineral Wells because the weather was so bad. And Henrietta and Cooper played. Cooper won last night, 56-18. They moved into the final 8. So another team around the area. And I was looking at this in Region 3. The Wascom team. Wascom is a city that I have spent a lot of time in living in Shreveport. So Wascom moving on. So we're going to see how this ends up turning out. But either way, high school football, getting deep into playoffs. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty now.
No better time of the year. This is it's just a Christmas miracle that we get to have awesome football right around the holidays. I don't know how many games I'm going to go to this year. It's going to be a lot. It kind of depends on what the Steers do, obviously, because, we're going to be covering them and going to their games. But, in a past life, before I was the sports editor, I would just, me and my family, we would just go to the best games in the area. And I'm wondering if we'll get a chance, say the Steers play on a Saturday, there's some games on a Friday, get a chance to run around the state and do that. And if we do, hopefully I'll have some good reports back for you.
Well, one of the fun things I like about this year in the playoffs is a lot of the teams that we're seeing are familiar. That's the thing I like is that you're not going, okay, what about this bunch? We don't know nothing about them.
Sure.
I mean, if the Graham Steers, and I really am, and I know a lot of people don't want to see Vernon again.
Yeah.
But I really hope. Oh, I hope so.
I wouldn't be against it.
I would love seeing a regional championship in Wichita Falls next Friday night, Graham Vernon. Would that be a knockdown, drag out?
That would be great. And plus, we'd get to eat at Cheddar's.
Yes, that would be
which we always like to do.
That would be the best thing.
But you're right. And another team that's familiar, believe it or not, is Argyle. I mean, that's the team that the Steers had to beat in the state 7-on-7 championship. And I know that Ian Sadler is a stud. He's their everything. The guy's scored on 25% of his touches. That means every fourth time he touches the ball, he scores a touchdown. He's incredible. But I think the Steers know what to expect. I mean, they've seen those guys before. So there is some familiarity with Argyle, and that's one of the reasons that another one of the reasons that I wanted to see Argyle over Gilmer.
It'll be fun. All right, let's take a break. Come back. We got some college football going today. I guess today is really the big-time rivalry games got going on. You got some huge ones coming up. So let's take a break, come back, talk some college ball. Stay tuned.
It's times like, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th in Graham or call 940-549-5136.
At Jake Womack Construction, Cornerstone Pools, the goal is to not only help you design and build your dream home, but to make the process easy and enjoyable for you. They're a full-service design-build company with a wide range of experience. Jake Womack can help you with all phases of new home construction or remodeling, procuring suitable land, architecture and design, building your home and landscaping your yard. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction, helping you build your dreams.
Now, back to Offsides with Travis, Rick, and Joe on Q94.7.
All right, time to get back to Offsides. Right on your link up to later. Easy for you to say. But we are talking some college ball. Now, don't forget tonight, Graham Steers, 5:15 on the air, as you can hear the Steers and the Estacado Matadors in the regional semifinal taking place tonight, so tune it in. College ball today turns to some hated rivalries. I guess the big game on the list today is the Alabama-Auburn game. You've got Alabama coming in at number 1. Auburn would love to knock them out. This, if you want to compare this to a game here in our area, it would have to be Texas A&M. I mean, these guys hate each other.
Yeah, they do, and kind of surprised that's an early game. I think it's a 2:30 kick today. I know the College Game Day boys are down there in Auburn today, but kind of surprised this didn't get kicked till later tonight. I know they like to showcase those games, but hey, before we get to that. Travis, hinted on it earlier. Man, what a time for football. We've had games, really good games, pretty much since Thursday. Just to kind of look at two recaps. Texas taking care of Texas Tech.
And it's the first time Texas Tech has not scored an offensive touchdown in I don't know how long.
That's surprising. They started off with 7-0, 8-0, and just have been on a slide ever since.
Are you good now, Travis?
Good.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Travis is good now. You had a great Mississippi State against Ole Miss, and then let's look at a few of the games that happened yesterday. Oregon and Oregon State. I mean, good gosh, Oregon getting out of there with a 36-35 win.
Did you watch any of that game at all?
I did. I saw the early part of it.
Well, I will tell you this: if they had the best dress game, that one would not win it.
No,
you had neon orange.
Yep.
Going up against neon green and yellow, and with a high-def TV, you had to put on your sunglasses to watch that game.
Right, you get a little bit of cornea burn there with that. And then what about LSU barely getting out of Arkansas? 31-27.
Did you watch any of that game? LSU played down their competition is what happened on that one.
Yeah,
and you see a lot of times teams on the road, when they go to places like that, they will play down their competition. That's exactly what LSU did.
Well, let's look forward, shall we? Should we go forward?
Alabama, Auburn has got to be the big game of the day.
It is.
You got number 1, number 4. You think Auburn could do it?
Yeah,
I think Auburn. Yeah,
this is their year. After I saw the long play last week, that was just kind of a fluke deal. I feel like Auburn's got some magic going, some mojo going. I think they're a strong team regardless. I think they've got a strong defense. It's going to be a low scoring game. Give me Auburn as the team that can finally stop the run, put the pressure on McCarron, and then we'll see what McCarron really is.
If Auburn wins today, could we possibly see Florida State, Ohio State in the national championship game? Would the BCS do that, or would they say, one loss, Alabama, go ahead and put them in?
Yeah, I think that with Florida State playing Florida in a really, really early game, matter of fact, it's going to be kicking off here pretty soon, kicks off at 11. I think Florida easily takes care of that, especially seeing what Florida State easily takes care of that, especially seeing what Florida did last week. I think they lost to a Division II team.
I think so.
Yeah.
Interesting side topic about that game is that Alabama was they're planning their schedule, right?
Right.
And they're like, well, let's play Georgia Southern. And then someone says, hey, Coach Saban, why don't you look at this? Saban watches 15 minutes of film from Georgia Southern and says, no, we're not playing them. So, somebody knew something. Somebody knew that they were pretty good. Yeah. So Auburn said, no, we don't want to mess with them. And then Florida got the game. So it had somebody not shown Saban all that film, then Florida doesn't play situation. Georgia Southern. Florida doesn't lose to Georgia Southern.
Well, you've got, like Joe said, you've got that Florida State against Florida, number 2, and that game.
You also got a number 3 Ohio State team going to Michigan, going up to the Big House at 11 as well. So you got really 2 good early games. Not sure what Michigan can bring.
Michigan's not a bad team. They're kind of they just have some hard luck.
Yeah, they do.
But I think Ohio State, they're very well coached. They got some great athletes, stuff like that. I think this is my feeling. I think Alabama's probably going to win this game today. You're going to have Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan and Florida State, all 3 sitting there. And again, you're going to have somebody left out of the party.
Yeah, I would really like to see if that's the way it's going to come down. I would really like to see Florida State go up against Alabama. I like kind of 2 different styles going up against each other to see how it goes. I think maybe I haven't watched much Ohio State this year, but I think they're very similar to Florida State, whereas you've got Alabama that's just your ground and pound big defense guy. So I like opposing styles going against, because the last thing I want to see is another 6-3 game. There's no way I could take that.
Yeah, that's not good.
Can I ask you guys a question? Okay. Say Auburn does beat Alabama in an upset victory. Right. Does Auburn jump a few spots?
No.
Do they get themselves
they move up to
in
number 3 is where they go.
They move up to number 3.
Yeah,
so the SEC push doesn't get them over the hump.
I don't think so.
In the national championship.
I think you got Florida State's going to go to number 1. Is what will happen. I think Florida State go number 1, Ohio State go number 2. You'll see Auburn go number 3, and Alabama drop number 4.
Okay, is
what I think you'll probably see. And then Alabama will win, or something will happen, and they might move Alabama into that spot. I don't know if they would, but I would not want to see a Florida State Ohio State national championship. I just don't want to. I don't know. Yeah. I think that would be a very boring game. I don't know about the ratings on that game or whatever it would be. I still think Alabama probably is the cream of the crop, probably going to win this game today.
Yeah, they're likely
to. But if there is an upset, you're probably going to see Florida State, Ohio State in the national championship.
Okay.
That's just my feeling.
More than a feeling.
I tell you another game today that is coming up that it's going to be kind of big in our area. North Texas is playing Tulsa.
Yep.
Now, North Texas wins this game. Joe, you're an Eagle, I believe.
I believe in the green.
This will be the second 9-win season they've had since the last time they went to a bowl game.
Exactly. Look for the Eagles to go back to definitely going back to a bowl. They're bowl eligible,
right.
So they'll definitely play in a bowl this year, which, hey, I like the mean green, but let's be honest, how many bowls do we have? So, but yeah, good season for North Texas this year, turning things around over there. Got a great stadium. Still need to get over to Apogee Stadium, see a game over there. We passed by there the other day, and man, it looks like a really cool stadium, so I want to get over there. But another kind of a local game today. Not really local, but we definitely got some alums in the area. But you got Baylor at TCU.
Baylor wins.
Yeah, Baylor wins that game, coming off that loss from last week, which, oh my gosh, I'm not really sure what happened to them up there, but I think that was our I think Travis and I both picked, and Travis tweeted
Hey, I picked
it
Baylor
earlier.
too.
Yeah, we all picked Baylor to beat Okie State. And, Okie State, I guess, had other plans.
But you know what Oklahoma State did to Baylor? And TCU is going to be looking at doing the same thing today. Oklahoma State took Baylor out of their game.
Right.
Yep. And they made them do things that they don't normally do. Baylor, Art Briles, and Baylor is one of those teams that are routine. This is what we do. You play our game. Well, this is what actually happened in this deal is that Oklahoma State came in and said, no, we're going to control the tempo. We're going to control this game. And they end up doing it.
Right.
Took Baylor out, and Baylor didn't know what to do.
Right. No, exactly. You're exactly right. One of the, again, kind of a late game today, I think. Well, it'll be – this is kind of a weird deal because College Game Day is in Auburn, Alabama, but that's an early game. So I'm not sure where Big Game Brent's going to be tonight. My money, because it's an ABC game, is that he's – oh, my gosh. I don't even want to mention this game, but UCLA at USC, whatever. I don't know why they're going there. I would think –
ratings.
I guess, maybe. But why do you want to go to number 22 at 23? Why not go Texas A&M at Missouri? That's going to
be a good game.
What is that, a 6:45 kick?
That's going to be a good game, but I'm telling you what, just watch out. This might be an upset. I'm thinking A&M going to go in there. It's going to be, Missouri better watch out in this one.
Yeah, you're right. I think they better watch out for sure. You could easily see A&M going in there and upsetting them. Johnny Manziel really wanting to get maybe get some Heisman votes back his way. I'm not sure, but I could see that.
Yeah, Joe, I think the Heisman is out of the picture for Manziel, but I still think like many folks who watch college football and actually, watch the games, I still think he's the best player in college football.
Too, his numbers are better this year than last year, and he won the Heisman.
And even though he had the bad game a week ago, I still consider him. I think they've put more on his shoulders, without the defense that they had last year. The problem with Texas A&M is they just haven't been able to stop anybody defensively. But I look for Johnny Manziel to put on a big show every time he steps on the field. No different against Missouri tonight.
Well, Missouri's a great team, but I tell you what, A&M. Well, I just smell upset here.
Boy, two other top 10 teams. You got some really good late games tonight. A 6 o'clock kick. You got Clemson at South Carolina. Clemson going in, taking on the old ball coach and Steve Spurrier. That looks to be a good game. Number 25 Notre Dame going out to Stanford. That'll be a 6 o'clock game on Fox. So no cops tonight because we got Notre Dame at Stanford. So. It just looks to be a really good game. We've got the Steers playing at 6. You've got Vernon Shallowater at 3. Not sure where you're going to be able to catch either of those. I know you'll be able to listen to the Steers game here, but I don't think. Hey, can you listen to the Vernon Shallowater game? Is that going to be?
I think it might be online, maybe.
Maybe online somewhere. Maybe an app update. But then you've got some really good late games tonight too. So all around today, college football, high school football. Wow, you're getting your football fix.
Hey, tune in to the Ocho tonight on ESPN. You got a playoff game between Lafayette and New Hampshire.
Yes.
That's going to be a big one there.
Will we be able to stream that on the drive home?
We might be able to.
Give me the upset in that game.
You think,
I don't know who the favorite is.
You think
give me the upset.
You think the Cajuns can go up to the Yankee land and put the beat down on them?
Now, for you late folks tonight, I always like to do the late game because there's folks that are just going to be man, so much football. I think your football belly is going to be full. But if it's not, and if you're up late tonight, well, unfortunately, you won't be able to watch it because I don't see that it's even on the TV. But, okay, how about we go San Diego State at UNLV since the Army-Hawaii game at a 10 o'clock kick tonight is not on TV.
Army-Hawaii. I guess teams want to go to Hawaii, say, hey, we're going to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. Wouldn't that be something cool?
Kind of a sweet deal. Yeah. Is Colt Brennan still on Hawaii's team, or was that like 10 years ago?
I think that was last year.
I think that was about 10 years ago.
I think he's out here. Could you imagine being recruited by Hawaii?
Real quick note to Coach Kenny for maybe next year, maybe some of those early preseason games. I think there's some decent teams in Hawaii that play some really good high school ball. I think it would be a really good opportunity for Graham to travel there to see what the kind of talent they've got over there.
About 2 years ago, I was at Six Flags. Took some kids to Six Flags.
Look at you! Look at that bragger.
And
a little humble brag there.
I know.
I went to Six Flags. Look at me, I'm Rick.
But Bridgeport Bulls were playing a high school team out of Florida, and so for the preseason, it's nothing like Hawaii. But the Florida team got to go to Six Flags. Is that pretty cool or what? I know it's nothing like Hawaii, but
I think we have to go to break.
We have to go to break. All right. Hey, I was just trying to throw something in there, All right, let's go to break. Come back. We got some pro ball to talk about.
Can the Cowboys?
Can the Cowboys?
Are you going to just do that?
Do what?
Are you just going to whatever I say? You're just going to say it again? Can the Cowboys be a 10-win team? Let's find out.
Can the Cowboys be a 10-win team?
Oh, my gosh.
All right, let's go to break. Come right back on Offsides.
Bring the excitement of the game right into your home with Razor Sharp Photography. Brian Ray at Razor Sharp Photography covers all of Grand sports, including high school and junior high football, volleyball, tennis, basketball, baseball, little league, and every other special event. Log on bray.smugmug.com for all that Razor Sharp Photography has to offer. That's bray.smugmug.com. Remember, if it's not Razor Sharp, it's not Grand Sports. Razor Sharp Photography.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
It's times like, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th and Graham or call 940-549-5136.
You're listening to Offsides with Rick, Joe, and Travis on Q 94.7.
All right, back to Offsides here on your Lincoln Toledo, Q 94.7. Talk some high school ball, talk some college lineup today, and now it's time to get into the big boys with the pro talk. Got a few minutes.
We got to send Travis to the hospital.
Travis is blowing a hole in the wall over there.
Yeah, this needs a couple times there. Let's make sure and get that out of the way.
But the Cowboys sitting right now at 7 wins, 5 losses. Don't play again till a week from Monday.
Yeah.
And
2 games over 500.
2 games over 500 in a really bad division.
Yeah. And the question is, and this is, we were talking about this earlier, and is, can the Cowboys be a 10-win team? Now, I don't know. There's just something to a double-digit winning season that looks better than, say, your 9-7 season. Rick, you were saying earlier, and I totally agree with you, that the Cowboys can win the division with a 9-7 record. I think this year the NFC East is so soft that they can win the division 9-7 record. But there's just something to a double-digit winning season that makes people feel better. Do you agree?
Well, it's like tonight's game. You got a team that's 12-0 against a team that's going at 6-6, and if you looked at that on paper, if somebody that doesn't know a thing about immediately, you think, well, that 12-win team's going to whoop them all over the place.
Sure, and there's just. Fans feel good about a double-digit winning season, right? Well, the Cowboys have roped off 2 ugly ones, beat the Giants at their place in a cold-weather game, in a cold-weather division game.
Right.
And, as ugly as that game was, you can't beat an away divisional game that you win in cold weather.
Something, I'm just jumping in for just a second. Something about that game that I loved about that Giants game.
Was Coughlin doing this the whole time?
Well, yeah, his hands up there screaming and hollering.
Oh, you
but
like Tony Romo on the winning drive last
no, not so much.
No,
well, I was glad Romo did good. I'm glad Romo did good.
You didn't like Romo.
A few years ago, you guys weren't even born when this happened. A few years ago, Harvey Martin grabbed a funeral wreath and threw into the locker room of the Redskins because, he said, because the Redskins said the Cowboys were dead. Mm-hmm. Well, Harvey Martin goes in, helmet on, everything. The Redskin locker room throws a wreath in. Well, the other night, we saw Hatcher putting on the fake blood and talking about how mocking the Giants and their bloodbath. I love the swagger. Because I want to see we live in such a politically correct life,
Sure, everybody's friends.
Everybody gets a ribbon. Everybody loves each other. I love seeing this. Somebody finally stepped up and said, I don't like you.
I love that the Giants talked. The Cowboys kept their mouth shut, took care of business, and then they said,
mocked them.
We just ended your season.
That's right. So
we just ended your season. I love that. Talking about 10 wins, Cowboys have 7 now. To get 10 wins, they'll need to win 3 out of their last 4 games, right? You've got the Bears, who I believe are without their starting quarterback and Jay Cutler.
Right. He's
Josh McCown starting for them. You've got the Packers the next week. Rodgers currently out. I don't know if he'll be out for that game. Mm-hmm. We'll see. He broke the collarbone on his non-throwing shoulder, so we'll find out how much.
And even if he comes back, how effective will he be?
Yeah, that's a big question
because they look pathetic.
Then you've got the Redskins
against the Lions.
You got the Redskins and the Eagles after that.
The Eagle game is one thing, but the Redskins game, typically, now I'm not saying it's going to happen,
mm-hmm.
but typically the Redskin Cowboys, you never see a team sweep the other one.
Sure. It's very rare. Even when the Cowboys were at their peak, or one of their 2 peaks, whether you say in the 70s or in the 90s, it seemed like Washington always pulled out at least one game a season. In those deals, they always seem to split. So looking at that, okay, you've got 2 banged up NFC North teams, and then you've got 2 NFC East teams. We've already agreed that the NFC East is soft.
They're terrible.
What do you foresee the Cowboys getting 3 wins? I know we all think that they can. We know that they're capable of winning games, but do you think they will?
Well, they should beat the Eagles. They should beat the Redskins.
Okay.
There's 2 wins right there.
Okay.
They should beat those. Okay, you got to take the Packer game and the Bear game. Of those 2 games, which one is the most winnable game? Now, where is the Bears game? Is it in Chicago?
The Bears game is at Chicago.
Okay, it's at Chicago.
Soldier Field, December 9th.
The Packers are coming.
Freezing cold game.
Right, the Packers are coming to the Death Star. So of those 2 games, just looking at it, what we see now, if Rodgers doesn't play or if he's not ineffective, I think of all those 3 games, the Packer game is probably the more winnable one.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we have seen, after the New York game, it's hard to doubt a team. It's hard to doubt that the Cowboys, they can go into cold weather, being essentially a dome team. They can go into cold weather and they can pull out a victory. But, like you said, without Aaron Rodgers, the Packers are
right.
They look like
they're
an NFC East team.
Yes, they're mediocre at best.
And so, but I think the Cowboys are very capable of at least winning 2 games, and we talked about winning the 2 division games. And hey, sweeping your division for an entire season is a pretty remarkable deal. But could you also see 8-8 out of this team?
Very possible.
Going 1-3 in December.
Very possible. And the one thing that bothers me about the Bears game, it's a Monday night game.
Yeah,
it's cold, and the Cowboys are typically not the best team in primetime games.
Yeah.
They don't win a lot of primetime matchups, and that's another reason it bothers me about that game. I don't know if Cowboys. They would play the Giants. It was nasty weather, but you know how it is at Soldier Field.
Sure.
You got that grass. It's always cold. You could possibly see some snow and freezing rain, all that kind of stuff going on. The Bears don't have Urlacher anymore, so the defense is a little soft. Their quarterback Cutler. Who knows? Even when he's healthy, who knows?
You never know. He could throw 4 picks. He could throw 4 touchdowns.
Exactly. So but I still think if you're going to look at those 4 games, I would think the Eagles, Redskins, Packers are the most winnable ones.
Yeah. But one good thing about all of these games is that Sean Lee is expected. Your defensive MVP for the Cowboys he expects to be back for the Bears game. And one great thing is after the Thanksgiving Day game against the Raiders, Cowboys have a 10-day break. I mean, that's essentially another bye week.
Yeah,
coming off, 2 weeks after a bye week, gets everybody healthy. We saw the difference that it made up front with getting DeMarcus Ware and Jason Hatcher back. Man, Jason Hatcher's having
he's a beast.
He's having an incredible season. Unfortunately, probably won't be here next year.
No, because this is his contract year.
He's 30. He's
contract year, and the Cowboys are $31 million over the cap already.
He's 30. He's going to expect a lot of money after this season. I don't blame him. This is his chance to make his NFL money, but unfortunately, he's probably going to make that money with another team.
Yep.
I mean, pass rushing is a
He'll
premium.
be with the Giants next year.
So, probably. But nonetheless, you got Hatcher back, you've got Ware back up front. That helps out a ton. You're going to have Sean Lee back, hopefully. And so, if the Cowboys can stay healthy throughout the practice week and the 10 days, leading up to this game, man, look for good things. I'm excited about it.
Does someone need to take Des Bryant off to the side and go, okay, Mr. Fumble, we need to talk?
He's been so loose with the football.
Des Bryant has been just leaving it on the floor all over the place.
Yeah, and you just can't do that. And we've never pegged him as a guy with fumbleitis. Early in Adrian Peterson's career, he was a guy that was great but could fumble every now and then. That's something that he kind of got pegged at and had to work through. Des Bryant hasn't been pegged as a fumbler yet, but he's getting there, man. The more times he puts the ball on the ground, I know Cowboys fans are the stomach just drops to the endless pit. It is just it is a nightmare. You cannot put the ball on the ground.
What was it the other night of the Giant game? Was it a 31-yard fumble?
Yeah,
something like
negative.
That.
Yeah, like a negative 30-yard fumble.
And then last week, he had
he fumbled twice in that game.
Yeah,
and both times it turned out the Cowboys got the ball, but it made for a really hard third down on the one you're talking about.
So that one. That area has been kind of bugging me a little bit. And what's up with all these former Dallas Cowboys coming into these games and just torching the Cowboys? Last week we saw that Holmes guy. Man, He was just everywhere.
Andre Holmes, a Jerry Jones favorite that just Garrett could never find a spot for him offensively. What they wanted to do, as far as having Dez, having Miles drafted, eventually drafted Terrence Williams, and that really kind of sealed the deal on Andre Holmes. But, I guess that was a year later. Right. Nonetheless, I think they had plans on going and getting a young, collegiate, receiver. But
Mike Jenkins had a great
Mike Jenkins had a good game in coverage. Did give up the touchdown to Des Bryant. But, we just saw Andre Holmes, they were just throwing jump balls to him. And it's little Brandon Carr versus 6'6" Andre Holmes, and who's going to win that battle? But the thing about Holmes that you've got to remember is that Garrett likes guys who do the technical things right. Mm-hmm. All Andre Holmes was doing was running straight down the field and jumping in the air. It was pure athleticism is why he torched the Cowboys, right or wrong. That's what it was. That's all they were using. Is just throw the ball in the air and he's going to out jump the guy. Garrett doesn't care about that stuff. He wants guys that are doing the right things as far as route running and stuff. I don't necessarily agree with that all the time, but I'm kind of a guy who says take the best athlete and find a way to get him the ball.
Was Witten saving their bacon the other day in that game? I mean, it seemed like every time they needed a first down, he was there, he was open, and he was ready.
The crazy thing was, and we've seen this all, the Cowboys' offense was stagnant until they get the ball, 2-minute drill, into the first half, and Jason Witten, I forgot. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler. Yeah. He's one of the best tight ends to ever play the game. Maybe we ought to throw him the ball a couple of times. Oh, yeah, Des Bryant, that guy that we've, that's done some great things for us and caught touchdowns. Maybe we ought to throw the ball to him. And that was really the point where I was just like, why haven't we been doing this? Everybody knew going into the game that Oakland was soft in the middle and that you could complete pass in the middle because they're going to be blitzing from the outside the whole game. So the middle is going to be there. And still, they waited till they were down 14 points to put some points on the board.
Hey, speaking of the blitz, I don't know if you saw this or not, but did you see Doug Free just get clocked in that one where that guy just walked up and just knocked him to his back? Just two-hand shove. Right
Doug Free looks awfully silly sometimes, but I will say this for Doug Free is that he's his year compared to last season.
Oh, it's much better.
Is incredible improvement, and he gave up the money because I guess he felt he didn't deserve it. I guess the team gave him an ultimatim.
Right.
Is what happened. Is like, hey, we're going to cut you.
You can go sit on the couch, or you can take a little less money.
Yeah, and he he agreed to it, but he has stepped it up a lot. But yeah, he just got plummeled.
It was bad. It was bad. All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back. We got just a few minutes left, and we're going to go back and hit today's game. So stick around right here on Offsides. You're listening to it on Q94.7.
If creating the perfect outdoor retreat is in your future, then Cornerstone Pools is where you will find design ideas that become reality for your custom gunite pool and spa and outdoor kitchen and living areas, helping you create family fun and memories that last a lifetime. Honesty, integrity, dependability, the cornerstone of everything they do. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction Cornerstone Pools, helping you build your dreams.
It's factory authorized clearance spot at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview at Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as low as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
It's Offsides with Joe, Travis, and Rick on Q94.7.
All right, you're listening to Offsides here on your Lake at the Leader, Q94.7. All right, with just a few more minutes now. Don't forget, today it is the regional semifinal. Graham Steers versus the Lubbock Estacado Matadors, 12-0 Graham, 6-6 Lubbock. This ought to be a great game today. And don't forget, it will start about 5:15 here on the radio if you can't make it to the game. Now, Shotwell Stadium is on the south end of Abilene, Texas. The tickets are going to be $8 a piece today. And there's going to be a bit of a tailgate party before the game. The Athletic Booster Club will be putting it on. They're going to be having a lot of sausages on the sticks, so it'll be a lot of fun for that one. I believe the team is leaving today at 1:30 from the field house, and folks can go out and send them off right.
Yeah, guys, come on out and join us, too. I mean, go out to the field house and send the Steers off on their way, but then come on out to the game with us. Let's get those stands and see if we can get, Lubbock's going to be coming in. We're going to be coming in. Maybe we've got a little bit less of a drive. I'm not sure. But let's see if we can pack those stands and show Lubbock exactly why Graham is the team that they are.
Steers are going to be the visiting team tonight. So I don't know.
Visitor side, boys and girls.
Do we want a whiteout tonight?
Do we know what the road are we going alt jerseys tonight, or are we going white?
I believe we're all white tonight.
We're all white. Hey, let's see if we can get a whiteout.
Yeah, I think a whiteout is what we probably.
This is a shout out to all the and the
reason why I say that
show up and everything. Let's get a whiteout going.
The reason why I say that is because Estacado is blue. They're not Graham Steer blue, but they're blue. So a whiteout tonight would not be a bad idea.
Boy, whiteout would be awesome. Let's see if we can get that going.
Hope everybody out there has a white coat.
A white coat, yes.
Because it's going to be cold, so, we'll see how that works out. But, yeah, whiteout. Get on board or be a loser.
I will be wearing my white tonight.
It's going to be cold out there. You boys don't know cold. You're sitting up in the press box. It was cold.
Oh, no. I'm going to tell you what. That Shotwell Stadium press box, that thing was built in, I think whenever my dad said, this is a football, is the day they built it.
Wow.
And It has been
drafty.
Yeah, it's been there for a while. And the deal is, what they did was they built the thing and they put these giant metal rods in the stadium that go horizontal in the thing. And so when the wind blows out of the north, those metal rods get cold on the outside of that cement, and it's like an air conditioning system all the way through Shotwell. So your feet are cold, the seats are cold, everything's cold.
It's all cold.
It's not good. So
we're all cold friends.
So actually, Joe, being on the field, you're going to have it easier than those sitting in the stands.
Oh, whatever.
So I'm just trying to help you out.
It actually ought to be pretty good. I was looking at the forecast tonight. I think last time we were playing in Mineral Wells, I don't know, it was like in the negative 20s or something. But
not where I was. It was about 73.
Yeah, okay, hot shot. But tonight it should be. I mean, the sun's out today. It'll be in the mid 50s to 60s today. Driving over there, I look for it to be upper 30s, lower 40s tonight. So not nearly as bad. I think it'll be a good game for a good time for football, though.
But a big plus: no ice falling off the press box, putting the beat down on anybody sitting below.
Yes, exactly. It was good. It was good to be the visiting team last week.
That's right, because those car hood size ice sheets falling off the side of the press box and slamming people. It's almost as bad as the Astrodome rust flakes falling off the stadium ceiling, hitting people in the head.
Or the insulation coming off the old Cowboy Stadium, landing in your nachos.
Yeah, that was always a nice thing. Your orange petroleum glop getting full of insulation.
So is it a whiteout tonight? We got a few minutes before we got to get off the air here.
I'm thinking a whiteout.
Let's call for a whiteout. That'll gauge how many listeners we have out there.
I'm thinking a whiteout tonight.
Man, I can't wait to see those 5 white shirts just proud and loud.
That's right. I'm wearing my white tonight, so let's get it ready. All right, boys, let's